Right now is a crucial time for the state of Indigenous languages. Fluent speakers are passing every year. You can see that it's a central, integral part of who we are, how we see the world around us. And to continue to have our connection with ourselves and our family and our community, we need to be speaking our languages. My name is Eli Hirtle. I'm an artist, filmmaker, and storyteller. I was born and raised in Victoria on Coast Salish territory, but my mother was born north of Edmonton in a place called Wabasca and was given up for adoption as part of the 60s scoop. So I spent most of my life not knowing my First Nations background. Only 9 years ago did we find our Cree family. And since that time, I've wanted to learn my culture, my traditions, my language, and what are the languages around me where I live here in Victoria. I visited 3 different communities on Vancouver Island that are doing language revitalization work to see how they're reconnecting with their language and their culture, traditions, and sense of identity. Doing this work of reconnecting with language is laying the groundwork for us as people to feel proud and strong again.
Without the language, you won't have the culture. Without the culture, you won't have the language. So it's very important to us as being First Nations people.
We went into the forest in Nanaimo territory to harvest cedar.
I always tell my son, you need to be mindful. Every blade of grass, the bushes, whatever bird or animal is there, they're going to recognize you.
Gary and Adam Manson have just completed their 3rd year of a mentor-apprentice partnership where they spend 300 hours per year doing adult immersion. And we had an opportunity to sit around the kitchen table and learn about how they've been doing this language work.
As we started our program, like as me and my dad first started, we started seeing how challenging it was and how lost I am and how far I am from picking up the language and understanding.
So that's kind of a big thing in British Columbia right now, I think. Our colonizers have done a good job. And I think that's the difficulty now of revitalizing language, because there's no kitchen table that we can go to listen to it. So that's kind of where we're at, and my son and I really grew in the program that we were in. And so having him there is just something that I needed to have hope that without his interest, without my wife's interest, without my granddaughter's interest, I would say it's not going to work. So I always tell my son, don't be ashamed of yourself. I'm here, we're in the same room and we're learning here right now. If you don't try, you ain't gonna get it.
You know, I take those moments of pride where, you know, like, look at how much I've accomplished, how far I've come in the program. And I've made up my mind from the beginning that this is a lifelong learning experience.
Oh, and Halsimo, Tanitsinat, Nanemo, and Tamana Sasekalak, Eat Limtanard, E. Oquitl in the Salsitla, Saminis, Sukmin, Matulia, Shishats.
Enta Sathethalak, Tanixnak, Snanemoch, Eaten Manaach, Halsimo, E. Quitwitha, Enta Huqueto Nasasitlak, Schnatnowitz, Schnanemoch, E. Fukmin.
I noticed that Saanich people are very action-oriented, just get things done. Like even with our language revitalization programs, it's just like, how could we just get this started? You know, let's not and ha over how we're going to get this done. Let's just get it done, and we're going to figure it out on the way, because this just needs to start happening now.
The Sinchothan Survival School is a unique place that offers a language nest for children to be blanketed in their language and culture, a nature kindergarten, and full immersion up until grade 3.
In the next 20 years, they'll be, you know, young adults, and they'll be speaking the language in their homes with their kids. They're sure of who they are as a Saanich person, and they have that self-confidence and that pride in their language and their culture, because they know where they come from. They know that they're familiar with the land. They know a lot about their lineage and their heritage.
You know, as that gap kind of gets wider, you know, between our old people and our people now, you know, I think the language is really that link that's gonna draw us closer to that.
I went down to the beach with the grade 2 immersion class. It was such a visceral experience for me to see how they're being taught stewardship of the land.
When people have enough language inside of them, they have their own kind of thinking that they can create again. And I've seen it in this class, where we took this song and made words for it in our language. And then I said to my young teacher, I said, that's Sinchothan language freedom. You're able to create again in your own language with your own mindset. So we're freeing our people from those old chains of suppression.
The first language that everybody's still speaking is Hunitamkan, which is English. And so even some of our most fluent elders are saying that they're still learning every single day. That's why we call our school a Sinchothan Survival School, because it is a place in our community, probably the only place that children are learning the language right now. And I'm still learning the language, and that's why I'm a teacher, because I love to learn.
Because my mother was given up for adoption at birth, I spent most of my life not knowing where we were from. Only 9 years ago did we find our Cree family. And since that time, I've wanted to learn our Cree language, knowing that's in my blood, that's in my history, that's who my ancestors are.
Dr. Lorna Williams was asked once on a radio show, you know, isn't it better that everyone just learn English and that way they'll be more successful in society? And she said, well, it's really better if you could have an education in your language, know your history, where you come from, because that prepares you to be out in larger society as an Indigenous person, to deal with the fact that you're invisible or the racism, and that you have to fight for your rights as an Indigenous person. All of that really strengthens you to face the world And it's really important that children have the opportunity to feel good about who they are and where they come from. Because children that feel good are going to be successful.
From the first day until the end, well, 'cause I'm wild and wild and free. Well, 'cause I'm wild and wild and free. Wild and free. Wild and free.
Mowchat First Nation offers a place for people of diverse backgrounds to learn the Nuu-chah-nulth language in a formal classroom setting.
When we have our people who went to residential school, and then you have people that never went, and they're just so fearless, they just like do it, and they just kind of get it done. They don't seem to have anything to overcome.
You often hear them say they hear themselves talk in their minds, and it's beautiful, and they're expert at it. They hear themselves saying it so well, but it's difficult to come out. The fear comes in and plays them well.
When you're an adult trying to learn something new, you have this fear around not getting it right the first time. Like if you don't have elders there, then you might have to go to another community to learn. Distance between learner and teacher can and have to be overcome. So that's what it's like being Cree on Coast Salish territory. It's a bit more of a challenge, but you just have to make more effort to seek it out. So for myself, yeah, there might not be that much around here, but it could be easy for me to give up. You know, do I stop there or keep looking and trying?
We are the people of the summer. We share the same history. Fought through these battles. We share the same victories. Well, 'cause I'm wild and wild and free. Like the salmon should be. Well, 'cause I'm wild and wild and free. Wild and free.
I went to Hoopachesit traditional territory to visit John Rampinen and Atanas Desjardins to see how they are teaching the Nuu-chah-nulth language within their family to their youngest child, Kimawan.
Kimawan is the focal point in our household for Nuu-chah-nulth language revitalization. He was just learning to communicate in general, so he could very easily pick up Nuu-chah-nulth as a first language. We're repairing that generational gap, but we also know that it's going to require effort for us as parents and older siblings to this child to groom and to raise that person that we hope that he becomes. It's a bond, it's a connection that's created between family members, and it's a longer-term approach. The feeling of empowerment that comes from that is unexplainable. Come on. What's it? Nice. We're not too far removed from that ancestral way of being. I think we're led to believe otherwise more often than not, that it's a way of the past. But the reality is that it's still here with us today. And so by speaking our language and learning our language, then we're being resistant to these colonial barriers that have created the scenario where our language is almost gone.
For countless generations, we're strong and powerful nation.
My own experience and in my own family, not being exposed to our ancestors' language, I thought it was something superfluous instead of something integral to a sense of cultural identity. But now I can see that it's a central, integral part of who we are, how we see the world around us. After visiting these places on the island and seeing the array of strategies to learn, I feel confident that I can find a Cree language group and be able to connect with other Cree speakers, so that I can reach that goal of having a simple conversation with my kokum next year. Doing this work of reconnecting with language is laying the groundwork for us as people to feel proud and strong again.
The choices are